You're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. And here we talk about national issues of concern, especially on how it relates to you and all of us as Nigerians. Now, the Nigerian Senate last week removed the clause that makes direct primary mandatory for the election of candidates in political parties from the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Now, the two chambers of the National Assembly harmonized the bill and passed it earlier in the week. Besides the amendment to Clause 84 of the Electoral Act Bill, Senate President Ahmed Lawan informed lawmakers that any further proposals for amendments will be considered and incorporated during the cleanup of the bill. Now, we have in the studio Chairman Senate Committee on Special Duties and Senator representing Taraba Taraba Central, and that's Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf in the studio to give us perspectives on the amendments in that bill. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, a lot of controversy, surrounding the electoral bill, especially, that particular clause talking about the mode of nominating candidates for political parties, whether direct, indirect primaries and all of that. Well, hopefully we have gone past that now with the harmonization of that bill. But it seems like a lot of people still have reservations about some of the things that were decided, especially if you look at the issue about consensus. People are thinking, where does it fit really? How do you even define, consensus in this instance? I understand that there are some amendments done to that effect to give certain conditions to, be able to fulfill and fitting, that issue of consensus in a democratic way. But how do we really, measure that?
Well, thank you very much. You see, in democracy, there's the issue of options, and you cannot close it. Therefore, the issue of consensus is a matter of, coming together, agreeing among the stakeholders, including, the party, to field in a candidate that is most suitable. However, other candidates cannot be, taken off the consensus. Other candidates who would participate in the mode of forming a consensus. At least that is what in the constitution of APC that I know of. Therefore, our consensus is one of the major pillars of achieving a very, very fair and equitable nomination of candidates.
Is it really, the best? Because a lot of political watchers, have said that most cases what happens is that a list is just being drawn from God knows where and then forced down the throat of party members in most cases.
No, that is why I said, the contestants will be part and parcel of the process. So if I and you are contesting, and the party said, look, come, let us talk and see, one of you, should step down for the other. And I agree to step down. Is that not fair and equitable?
Yeah, but the reservation here is that most times the people stepping down are not doing so because they genuinely want to step down. Maybe they are being intimidated, by the political gods, if I may use that word. Particularly, governors have been pointed in this instance are said to be, intimidating other party members because of the financial influence that they exercise, in those political parties.
Well, you see, in democracy, like I said, again, there are so many rules of engagement. There are some that are under the table, there are some above the table, there are some on the table. There are so many ways in which, you can cajole, you can trade horses, you can do so many things and then arrive. This thing that, they are saying that, some people force it down the throat of the contestant. That is why I say if the consensus fails, and then you go to either direct or indirect. So, I mean, the electoral law has given, effect to the fact that, it is not only consensus, but where consensus fails, then you can go to, direct or indirect. So it is giving options, and democracy is giving people options, giving the institutions options, giving everyone, the options to do, what is fair and then what is equitable to all parties.
Well, one of the threats that some people consider, in having an effective nomination process of political candidates is the issue of money politics. Some are saying that it's not even really about whether it's direct or indirect or consensus, but that as far as you have that monetization of the process, you will always not get the best, of the candidates. So, for instance, if you look at the indirect primaries, there are those that have said that, well, these delegates that are usually, nominated from across the different wards of the political parties sometimes do not really represent the interest of the party members.
Well, I agree there's some elements of that, but it is not in all cases that these things, apply. When I ask who are the money bags, who are the people buying the other people? So what we are saying that ours, is an evolving democracy, and I believe, as time goes on, things will be streamlined in the best form. So there is no way you run away, from it. Is attitudinal. If our attitudes towards ourselves, towards the party, towards the other people, there are even some politicians, their engagement is to make money. This is the fact. They want to make money. So they want to use, the platform of the party, to make as much money as they can. So, but it is an evolving thing. As time goes on, it is going to be sanitized. But we know that it isn't now, it isn't as bad as it was before. So there is no way, a governor will, stampede the process, and force whatever, he wants to force on the throat, either on the members of the party or executive of the party, or even, on the stakeholders. So the whole thing boils down to understanding one another, sitting down with one another, talking to one another, and then try to feel for one another. The ultimate goal, of politics is winning an election, for the contestants. So, the stakeholders, the party will all sit down together and say, how are we going to win this upcoming election? Which candidates do we have? What are they? Are the candidates credible? Do the candidates have integrity? For me, that is what is fundamental. It is the integrity of the participants. So about somebody buying, if you have your integrity, you stand, with your integrity. So for me, I think, this money buying, that, I have not experienced it. I've been a second-time senator. I've gone through, two elections, into the Senate. I have not found people who try to impose, candidates, either on me or somehow. It may come once in a while, based on past practices. But like I said, we are getting, better and better as we go along. So it is the process. Once the process is good, look, just like what we have now, and the integrity of the people, is called to account, I think we are going to have the best form of process.
Talking about how to get it better in terms of strengthening our democracy, it appears that for each step we make maybe one step forward, and it's like we are taking 2 steps backwards. If you look at some of the provisions, in the Electoral Amendment Bill, for instance, we are now hearing that only contenders in a primary election can challenge, the outcome of that election. It's no longer open, to other party members. How is this, in your opinion, going to impact on the process?
You see, anybody that is not part of the contending process is an interloper. Pure and simple. Why would you come in when you are not part of the contention?
But as party members, don't they have the right to challenge the candidature of any, candidate that they feel that does not necessarily represent their interest?
The candidate is an outcome of the party process. There are some internal mechanisms in solving the problems. So if you abuse, the internal mechanism of the party, then you will not say, well, let me go to the court to challenge the contention. So for me, I think what is fundamental is people realizing that party should be supreme. In other climates, party even, dictate who the candidate for the election is.
How, in this case, in Nigeria, do we have that happening? How is party supreme in Nigeria? If you look at the influence, I'll always go back to the issue of governance, influencing the political parties at the state level. What we have right now is like they are even more powerful than the party chairman. That also applies to the party at the center as well. So how do we strengthen these internal mechanisms that we always talk about when we have factions in our states? Virtually, in most of the states there are factions. And now when we talk about the APC convention, a lot of fears by people, expressed, about the kind of delegation that we are going to have, from these various states.
I tell you why. How many people are paying membership dues? You join a political party and you don't pay your due. You are not a financial member. And party is run on the basis of financing. So if people are not, are putting in, paying their own dues, either on monthly or on twice a year or whatever, I think, that is where the problem is. Funding is fundamental. How do you fund a political party? How do you fund a club? It's through membership dues. So the governors are, with due respect, are the major financiers of our political parties. So if they do that, then other caucuses will also have to bear that, our responsibility for not funding the political party. You put your money where your mouth is, isn't it?
Yes. So, but
the
governors
put your
are
mouth
not
where your your money
yes.
is.
So agreed. The governors are not the only party members. In themselves, they cannot form the party. There are other members. But how much emphasis are we even, placing on ensuring that, the issue of paying dues is taken seriously, and how much of, entrepreneurship, if there's anything like that? I know that political parties are not businesses, but at least what effort is there, by political parties to raise funds, to raise funds such that they do not become merely platforms that will be used as tools, by individuals.
I agree. That is why I say we are evolving. It's getting, better and better, and, as we go along. Now all the caucuses will now sit up and say, we are a caucus to this, we are part and parcel of this political party, and then we are going to make sure that the party is run in the best form. And the only way it can run in the best form is where we all contribute in funding the political party. So if you don't fund the political party, of course someone else will fund it, and someone else will do your bidding. So precisely, I think, in my opinion, that is what is happening. But there's so much accusation, of governors. I'm not a governor, and yes, I'm a member of CECPC, of our political party, but the issue simply is matter of effective participation, in the democratic process of running a political party. If we do not want to run a political party, the way it's being run now, all members must contribute to the funding of the political party. And that is the only way that, you know, the party will become supreme, because there is no supremacy of a party if you are not funded, if you are not funding. You know, all the electoral processes, you know, is being funded by the political party. So if the political party does not have the money, you know, how someone else, you know, will contribute to the funding of the political party. But like I said, it's not as bad as before. We are evolving, we are getting better and better. I think people are beginning to understand. People are beginning to realize that, let me put in money so that I can talk.
All right. Well, what is your most preferred, you know, nomination process, you know, in this instance?
The best nomination
Direct?
process,
Indirect?
the best nomination process is direct. However, it also comes with its own form of requirements. Once you can have, you know, a genuine membership, and then you are going to have biometrics of the members, you are going to provide, you know, enough security, you are going to provide, you know, proper funding, and then proper supervision. Direct election is the best, because that involves all the members of the political party. So that would have been my best choice. However, because we have, you know, challenges in membership, you know, of our political party, membership register. We have, you know, challenges in also biometrics. We have not done any biometrics, only electronic biometrics. So because of that, and also because of, you know, security, you have to provide enough security. How many policemen do we have in this country to provide, you know, backup? You know, how many, you know, security men we have to back up, you know, the direct processes. Even INEC funding, how many areas will INEC provide staffing to the, you know, participating, not participating, but providing, you know, supervision over, you know, primaries. So you can see we have, for instance, you know, nearly 9,000 wards in this country. If these things are going to be done by wards, they are going to do direct election by wards, just like what we are talking about. You know, each ward will have, is it 2, 3, 4 policemen? And then, you know, INEC will provide that. Where is the funding for that? So I think, you know, as we evolve, as we become more and more credible, as we become more and more accountable to what we are doing, accountable to our people, I think we are going to get it right. But for now, I think direct primaries, which is best, but it's highly, highly challenging.
All right. Now, the APC convention is coming up in a matter of weeks now. Yeah. Some party members have expressed reservations about, you know, the timing of the convention. Some have expressed fears, you know, that it's likely going to be an explosion, looking at, you know, this factional crisis that we have from within the party. Do you have such fears?
I have little of the fears, not that I don't have, but it's very, very little and minimal, because, you know, in the process of running a political party, in the process of running a convention, it's a matter of, you know, as a family, you sit down and you understand one another. And yes, there are some states, yes, that you have, you know, factions, but I think these factions are a media hype. You know,
are they?
There are some of them.
I mean, when you have congresses, they appear to, you know, disrupt the whole thing, and that it doesn't seem that there's, I mean, there's this unity, you know, of purpose.
I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm saying that, you know, on the basis of, you know, probability, you know, is much more of a media hype, because you will only have a faction where you have a split in the committee membership. That is why, you know, we have, for ward congresses, we have 7 members, at least in APC, in the local government, we have similar. If you have a split understand me very well. If the committee are splitted, either chairman and secretary versus the others, or chairman and others versus the others, yes, but in most cases, the committees were not splitted. And therefore, that's why I call it is a media lack of understanding what a faction is. So we got to understand, yes, in politics, if I don't get my way, yes, I will go out and talk, go out and shout, go on and do that. And so many of people go to court without exhausting the internal mechanism of running their own complaints. In every Congress, after the Congress, there's an appeal committee. Many people don't even go to the appeal committee. They don't even complain. So you have Congress, you have issue with it, you have not gone to appeal to complain. Instead, you just rush to press, or you rush to court and do. For me, it is an evolving thing. We are going to get it right as we go along.
Mm. All right, now let's take a look at other issues of zoning, for instance. In the convention, the factions, say for instance the Tinubu caucus, is insisting that we need to have a consensus in this convention to determine the party executives, and then some believe that that's largely because of the interests of the leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ahead of the 2023 polls. Do you consider that as a problem?
Well, it's one of the items on the table. If I'm a candidate, and I feel that the best way that can give me, a win, is to take this particular process. Let me sell it to the members of the party. So once he can be able to sell it to the members of the party, I believe, and the party, believes that is the best form, that it cannot bring, a rancor, it cannot bring, some discontentment. Of course, why not? It is sitting down, as a family, convincing, the members of the political party, not the non-members, because as you will see, sometimes, other political members of the political parties will interlope and talk about the political party that they do not belong. That is why I say it's a media hype, because some will come from the other political party and be talking about the other political party to the media. And then the media will not be able to decipher which one is this political party membership, which one. I wish, anyone that will sit down, and talk to the media or the press, he should be a bona fide member of that political party to talk about that political party. But if I can sit here and claim that I am this and that, but when I come to talk, I will condemn this. You don't know whether I'm not even a member of that political party.
Well, if you look at this issue of zoning, from what we have gathered, it's been zoned to the north central region of the country.
Which you mean the party executive?
Yes, the party chairmanship.
Okay, and it's
yes.
for APC?
Yes, the party chairmanship, the APC party chairmanship. Out of the many contenders, 4 people from the North Central are likely to emerge, for the chairmanship, from what we have heard. So, what are your, concerns?
I'm not aware of that zoning yet, because I'm a member of the CECPC. I'm not aware. So, but that does not mean that somebody from Northwest cannot contest, somebody from Central, South, and what have you. What we are saying, it is emerging. Maybe in the next few days, we will get it, as to where the chairman, will come from, and the other party executives. But all that, will form part of the consensus process.
But is the issue of zoning on the table in the APC, whether from inside, within the party, and at the national level?
Certainly, there's likely going to be at one point in time, we look at zoning as if it is, if it is the best form, of arriving, without rancor and what have you. Personally, I don't believe in zoning. Personally.
Why? Because some people said it's good for national cohesion.
Yes,
it's good for for others to feel that sense of belonging.
Yes, we are a federal republic. Yes, we have the states. We have the federal government. We have the state. Yes, but sometimes when you look at it, it is very, very unfair to the integrity of the process. If you say, well, we want to zone, and this guy coming from this zone, and that guy, do not have the necessary, skills, the necessary integrity, and he has to come from that zone, I think from that point of view, there's unfairness to the whole process. However, it may be fair if you microzone it, but what I'm saying that, as time goes on, what matters most is skill and integrity, because that's the only way you can going to get the best performance.
It appears that identifying that skill and integrity, it's a major issue for us. How do we even get to, identify people like that when mostly the decisions are, crowded, by sentimental and primordial considerations?
Again, yes, to an extent I agree. Yes, in every politics, yes, they say every politics is local. Yes, there's some primordial, issues, sentiments here and there, but within the context of that equation, and then you are going to have, you are going to know who is more skillful. You are going to know who has more integrity. The past is there. The records are there, the performance are there, and then the future projection of that individual, is. So, for me, I think that is what is necessary. You can be able to know the skillful. You can be able to know the person who has the integrity. In other climates, even the zip number, the zip code in United States of America tells you, the value attached to that particular area. So, there are so many ways you can know a person, whether he has integrity or he doesn't have integrity. You'll know whether he is skillful or he is not skillful. Skillful is not a factor of very, very high education, no. But we know that, if you do not participate, in my own opinion, if you do not participate in what we call, establishment, you do not know establishment. Of course, there are some little things you will lack when you come to run the affairs of when you are elected. So there are ways in which you can measure skills. It's just that, yes, we are putting more emphasis, more weight on primordial, issues of sentiments. So, but I think by and large, as we go along, we'll get it right. Especially the media. The media should be able to know exactly, how a person is, how he was, how he has been, how he is doing, whether he was a crook, whether he is not a crook, and what have you. The media should be able to tell us. The civil society organizations are there. They know the people that they deal with. They know how these people emerge. There are so many ways in which you can know, I'm not saying 100%, but maybe you can say 70, 75%. So there's a way to know it.
This is Daybreak reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. And here talking about the Electoral Amendment Bill, we have in the studio Chairman Senate Committee on Special Duties and the Senator representing Taraba Central, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. Now, briefly before we go, maybe as a way of rounding up the show, maybe you talk to us about, the politics in Taraba State. One of the biggest stories coming from last year on security situation in Taraba is this invasion by, some armed men from the Cameroon, where, some traditional ruler was killed, and a number of people really were killed in that part of the state. So what's your thoughts about that, and how can we deal with that?
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I am and we are very, very concerned about the security issues in Taraba in particular, and especially, at the borders with the Cameroons. However, like I have said in the past, for us to begin to solve the problem of insecurity in this country, we have to go by community policing, because the community exactly knows who these people are, how they operate, where they operate, from where they come, and from where they go to. Therefore, the community will also be a part of the responsibility of the increased, insecurity in this country. If we are very, very honest with ourselves, there is no way a criminal will not be known by one way or the other. I remember 2003, in Anambra State, when there had been, so much rampage, of armed robbers, bandits, these people killing, these people doing that. They established what they call Bakassi boys. I think Governor Badi Nuju of blessed memory, did that. Within a very short time, they solved that problem, because the families know which and which of their children or which and which of them, that is a criminal.
But if you talk about community policing at that level, another perspective to that will be that some of these attackers, they come with sophisticated weapons. And what exactly would the members of the community be doing? Providing information to security agents? And if they do that, what could be the implication of that? We've seen several times traditional rulers, trailed and killed. So their safety is in harm's way.
Intelligent information is even more important than even fighting. Because if you have a very, very good intelligent information ab initio, you will be able to protect the citizens much more than going there to protect them. So for me, this idea that they are attacking people, yes, they are. But if the security agencies, the government, knows precisely, the intelligence, how this is, where is it coming from, you will find that, by and large, it will have less impact as what it is happening today. And as you may know, how is the emergence of insecurity in this country? Why? Because of the failure of management of local governments properly. If our local governments were managed properly, then we would have less and less, incidents of insecurity in this country, because wherever you have attack is either in a ward or in a local government or in the state.
Are we ready to do that? Are we ready to strengthen these local governments? If you look at, say, issues of autonomy, of the local governments, that has been a debate that has lingered for quite a while.
And again, at the national level, in the Earth Assembly, I was a member. We passed laws. We amended the Constitution, showing, the autonomy of the local governments. But down the line, it was scuttled because the houses of assembly, under the dictates, of the governors, felt that, look, that they are not ripe for autonomy. Even the National Union of Local Government Employees, they were protesting, some of them protested against the autonomy of the local government. So it's to tell you the challenge we have.
Do you think that has been hijacked by political interests?
Well, when we say political interest, for me it is not. It's greed interest. It is not political interest. It is greed interest. People are so greedy. People, are so mindful. How many governors, for instance, I mean spend the local government funding, in the local governments? How many?
Okay. Now, in your state, for instance, your governor is of the PDP, the opposition party, and you are in the APC in the coming elections. What are we expecting? Are you seeing a possibility of takeover?
I don't know about takeover, but one thing that I know of is Taraba is an APC state.
Is it?
Yes, it may be PDP government, but it is an APC state. Everybody knows that.
How is it an APC state when the majority of the people voted for the PDP and the governor emerged under the platform?
The emergence of the governor over time has always been through what? Through court system. We know that in a clear voting system, APC won in 2015, APC won in 2019. Very, very clear. But when you have to, that is why I say the process has to be sanitized, not just from the political point of view, it has also to be sanitized from the legal point of view. So we do not know what will come in 2023. A lot of us are concerned. I hope the courts will not take over the appointment, political, for the political, people. Because for me, look at the case of Zamfara. So many people voted for APC, but the court said no, because of the few either mistake, if there were, they handed over, to a party that got 1/3.
In other words, you're saying you do not have confidence in the judgment of the courts?
No, not that I don't have. I went through the electoral process and I have gotten, my own fair judgment. So not that I don't have confidence. We should be very, very careful not to fall within the ambit of unnecessary litigation that may go either way.
All right, well, thank you so much, Chairman, Senate Committee on Special Duties and Senator representing Taraba Central, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on Daybreak.
Thank you very much for being here.
All right.